All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's take here. These all kind of run a bit long, so I do plan on covering the first few questions quickly. I'm not going to cover those first, so I'm going to start kind of towards the middle here, as I want to cover the things that are the most important finds from this FAQ. So, best in show paints. So, there are 4 ships that can have best in show paints. We're going to have, and again, I'll have a link to this in the description if you want to check it out yourself, along with the Twitch drop one as well. So, best in show paints, there'll be the Polaris, the Asgard, the Zeus ES, as well as the Gladiator. Those are the 4 ships that won best in show. The overall winner was the Polaris. And so each of those will have an associated banner and paint. I've already previously showed them in a previous video, and so are others. So if you want to see those, spoiler alert, but they'll be made available during the 29th. So they're going to do 1 check this year. So that's another question that people asked about. 1 wave only for best in show paint. So make sure on November 9th, I would say even before 1600 UTC, but at least by then, I would make sure to have it already on your account. So, and it's specific to these particular ships. The only one that's relevant to is the Zeus ES. So if you have a Zeus CL or a Zeus MR, I would not, that's not going to count. You need to make sure you have the Zeus ES associated with your account. So I would say on the 28th, make sure that you've gone through, melted chips, whatever you want to do in order to get a hold of these paints. Once they're in your hanger, if you have them, then the paint stays in your hanger, so you can remelt them, later on after you've got them attributed. But make sure you have these ships on your account before the 29th, ideally, at least a day or so ahead of time. There will also be bundles made available. It does say bundles, so it sounds like not only just the bundle with all 4 ships, although I'm sure they'll have that. It sounds like they'll have bundles with the other, so the paints and the posters will be made available in those bundles. You can't, if you sold that bundle, it sounds like you would lose those paints though. So those aren't necessarily the ideal way to go about it. Again, if you want these paints, I would make sure that ship you have the either the CCU chain and you've executed that, or you have the ship standalone already in your hangar. F8C. So this is a pretty big change here. The IAE 2955 since starting from now and going forward, it looks like they're going to make the F8C available. They'll probably do it during Fleet Week as well, I imagine, but you don't need to do the golden ticket or have concierge. This is the Nightweaver livery, so those that have gone through the process of getting a golden ticket and those that have gone through the process of getting to the concierge levels, there's 2 levels. Once you get to even the first one, associated with, not the first one that they make available, I think it's the 3rd or 4th tier. There's 2 tiers that actually give the F8C. If you've gotten to those tiers, then you actually will have the Nightweaver paint associated with your account. So those are a nice change of pace. So yeah, be looking out for that. It does sound like if you don't have those already on your account, more than likely you will not be able to get this paint. So yeah, I don't think you need to buy. It's not clear yet, and again, I'll have a link to this in the description. So if you want to check back on this, if this fits you specifically, but it seems like you did get a golden ticket kind of badge, or at least like a title. So I don't think you actually have to have the F8C in your hangar in order to get this. I imagine that check will be done on the first day, because this is going to be when IAE goes live, that they're looking to give this paint to these people as a bonus that already had it. If you already have the concierge level, no problem. You're good to go. But those golden ticket ones, it's a little more questionable. Do you have to have the F8C in your hangar? Do you have to just have done the golden ticket thing? What is the process there? That part, it's not super clear here. However, if you retrospectively get to the concierge level after IAE, you will not get this paint. So if you're looking to get to that tier during IAE, you may want to consider doing that now. Unfortunately, you just have store credit to use at that point, because then you're stuck with it. But you could buy a ship package to get to that tier. I'm not encouraging you to do that. It's just if you really want this paint, you have to have already gotten to that concierge tier. What's new with IAE is we'll see a Twitch drop. So this will be the Twitch drop that you'll have access to. You have to watch 4 hours of a particular stream. Not necessarily the same stream, or probably at the same time, although I'll probably end up leaving someone's on for 4 hours. Sorry, I think I'm starting to get a bit of a cold or something, so I had to blow my nose there. But so I think I don't think you have to watch the streamer for the same amount of time for 4 hours, but possibly Grim over Starjump might be streaming, or Execute Info Runners folks might be streaming. So Just be mindful of that during the November 20th through the December 3rd during the IAE time event. If you want to get a hold of this armor, you'll need to go onto Twitch. You'll need to set up your account. They do have information here on how to link your account. You'll also want to make sure it's all set up on the Twitch side for this particular drop, and you'll get the Geist armor here. Again, the basis of it seems to be all Geist except for the helmet. It's kind of this, as I can't remember the name of that one specifically, but there's another light armor set in the subscriber store. It looks like that helmet more than the Geist helmet. So yeah, the 4 hours of watching and 4 hours of pain there to get that particular drop associated with your account. Ship price increases. So they say price adjustments. I can guarantee none of these prices are going down. They're all going to be going up. So 4 ships here, started with the whole A. Having to drink in between here because my throat is dying. So the Mist Whole A is currently about $90. Let me double check that. The Whole A is a pretty good performer there at that $90 mark. So I can see that going up by at least $10, maybe $20. It's hard to say for sure, but because we don't know what the price will go up by, but they're saying that it's not going to go live, that these changes won't go live until after the event. So if you're looking to get a hold of these, I would get a hold of the CCU now. The Whole A of all of these, the Whole A is the one I'm not as like, oh man, I need to get a hold of the Whole A CCU, but it is going to be one of the first few below $100 CCUs that will act like a Warbond in a long time. So I may actually stack up a few of these. And so the way that will play out is you would get a hold of these and you would hold on to that, and it would count like it would basically be like a Warbond, except you can buy these with store credits. So we'll talk about that a bit more once we get to the Warbond section. Whole B. Whole B is another big one. This one, in my eyes, the reason the Whole B and the Raylan, I think, are mentioned here is we might see 2 price increases for these. So I think these are going to both go up in concept pricing, and then they'll go up again for live pricing. That's a pretty big deal for these. They've done that for stuff like the Banu Merchantman. The Bandit Merchantman started as a lower price than it does today as it's grown. And so just be mindful that this is probably be a double jump for this one. Because again, I think they want to raise the current price for the Whole B. And then I think they want to raise it again once it comes out of concept. I could be wrong on this one because they may not do this price change until the Whole B goes live, as it's pretty deep in development. It's getting ready to go into Gray Box. It may already be in Gray Box, honestly, as of this month. So it could come out early next year. However, there's no reason to list it here, though, if it's going to go up in price. Everything goes up in price when it goes out of concept. So I think it's possible we may see a price increase before it actually goes to live. Raylan, same story here. It's also a concept ship. So by default, it's going to go up from pricing from the concept price of $225 it's at now onto its full release price. So I think we might see 2 price increases for the Raylan for sure. Not sure yet on the Whole B. Argo Raft, that one's going to go up as well. That's currently at 125, so I suspect that'll go up to 150, maybe 175, so maybe $25 to $50. It may not be that steep, but I suspect those are reasonable efforts on a guesstimate on how high that one can go up. The Whole B's currently 140. I'm going to stack this one a couple because I think this one's going to go up closer to 2. It could even go as high as 3, given that it has almost 400 SCUs of storage capability. That's before it was kind of reconcepted a bit, so they do want it to be able to land on the ground and still be usable as a cargo hauler. So it's hard to say where that one will land, but it's looking like it'll be a pretty big jump, or it'll at least be a pretty good option for those that still want to go. Like, it's going to be a good competitor against a Raft, to be honest. So if you loved the Raft before, I think the Whole B is going to even be a potentially much better option. And currently it's only a couple bucks, $15 more than the Raft. I wouldn't necessarily buy a CCU from the Raft to the Whole B. I mean, you can, that's fine, but be mindful that both of these will go up in price, so they could be kind of wonky. So I would just get a hold of a couple Whole B CCUs if you can. I'm having to like cough and die in between takes here. So again, the Raylan will go up in price. It's $225. That's a $5 increase from the Terrapin. So if you wanted to pick up a CCU from something like the Terrapin to the Raylan, that'd be a good opportunity. And that's only $5, so you can stack those up pretty high. You should probably look at other options as well, but at least using the Terrapin as an option could be good. If they offer a Terrapin Warbond, that's going to be huge, because again, the jumps between those chains could be pretty big. So just be mindful of this. Other people will probably cover this as well, but and you'll want to check that for speculation. I'm not the best person to cover that for speculation, but I'll be looking to probably procure a couple of all of these, specifically the Whole B and the Raylan, probably stacked pretty hard. And as we talk about the Warbond stuff here, they will have Warbond CCUs made available. They'll be for 24 hours each. And typically they make them, obviously available for that manufacturer. So day 1, you expect to see an RSI ship. Day 2, you expect to see an Origin ship. And typically it's only available for 24 hours. In the last year, they only did one Warbond per day. I would expect at least that. Ideally, before that though, now they have changed the manager. It's back to Sandy on the marketing side, so maybe she'll have more Warbonds available. Please do, Sandy. But if not, then at least you'll see one. That's all we saw last year. There could be other deals, but more likely it's at least one. Finally, as I mentioned before, Warbond has to be paid with real, cash. You can't use store credit for these. So although they are a cheaper offering for a ship for a CCU upgrade, it is something you have to pay with new money. Alternatively, again, as I mentioned before, these can all be purchased with store credit. So I'd be looking to get more of these with store credit if possible. They'll just save you more in the long run. Whole limited ships. So starting with the event at 1600 and every manufacturer startup since then for every 4-hour gap, you will have the opportunity to buy a whole limited ship if a whole limited ship is made available for that manufacturer. So the Phoenix is a good example of that. It doesn't have the Emerald here. That's typically, I think, only during St. Patty's Day. But anyways, these you can see the manufacturers here and the ships that are made available. The Expo will be made available for everybody for play for free. A copy of each of these. So the anyone can play it for free. You don't need a copy of the game. You don't need a game package. You during this couple week period here, you can play for free. And we'll take a look at what ship you get made available, and you can rent a lot of these. You can invite a friend, and along with that, this will be the first referral bonus you'll get, as well as the referral. Since the referral program has been revamped, so they are going to be offering a referral bonus. We'll have to see what it is. Typically, it's a small ship or a small, like a hover bike, something like the Pulse, for example. I think that was the most recent one. No, the most recent one was a hover quad, I think. At any rate, it's typically a small ship. The Aurora would be nice. That would be a cool opportunity, as they're working on a rework for that. They have pretty cheap Auroras. That would be cool. Or the Ox. That would be sweet as well. Now, if it's not one of those ships, just be mindful that it's usually a lower cost ship that they're going to have available. All right, that's about it. Thank you all for checking out the video. I'm going to continue on from the top with the other few questions, just for those that are curious, but I wanted to cover those as those are the primary drivers to why I think I should even make this video to begin with. New players, there is a new player guide and welcome hub, although you'll typically find there's all kinds of guides out there on YouTube. Something I probably even need to make a new video on, to be honest. So it'll be taking place during November 20th through December 3rd. It's going to start at 1600 UTC, and again, with this whole limited, every 4 hours after that, you'll see the opportunity to buy that whole limited ship if there's one available. And so that'll just continue to make its way around. Free fly starts right at the same time as IAE, and then it's made available during that whole time period. If you don't have a game package, no problem. You can use the Intrepid. Everyone's account will get associated with a free Crusader Intrepid during the whole event time frame, so feel free to check that out. IE takes place at Orison this year, so I haven't actually seen that. Previously, it was Microtech or Area 18. Those are the only ones I've seen. So feel free to go out to Orison, and you could take the tram out there. So the tram is going to be... I don't think this is a picture of the tram. No. It just kind of shows you where the Vision Center is, which is interesting. But you'll be taking the tram to get there. So the shuttle service, this is the way it takes. It takes forever to get there. You can see, right? So typically the spaceport, it's pretty quick to get to one of these locations. It's basically twice that amount of time to get to this particular location. When you go to the tram section, when you look to the right, like the elevators, right, will be right there. Take a look to the right. It's going to be the section for the market area where you can buy magazines for guns. There's the Crusader showroom, things of that nature. On the left side is the more industrial side where you can buy some ship components. And then further to the back on the left is going to be where you can go to the Vision Center to go to the Orison of IAE event. And typically they do give some sort of reward or achievement for going to the event. And sometimes they'll hide little knickknacks around the event as well, like script and things of that nature. They're looking to do a full manufacturer listing on ships that'll be made available. The couple that I would not expect to see, well, at least the one I wouldn't expect to see is the Idris. So be prepared for that if you're looking to try the Idris out. Look forward to possibly having your hopes dashed by that. Unfortunately, that probably won't be a ship you'll see made available for free fly. And then the Polaris may or may not be available. And if it is available, it may be available for limited days, such as just RSI Day. Although, like the new Perseus might be available. So yeah, just be mindful and think about what you might want to check out, but just realize that some of the bigger ships may not be made available. How do you rent the ships? So you can rent them at a kiosk. Once you first get to the event, on the left and the right hand side, you'll see a number of It'll look like ASOP terminals or like the usual place you can purchase thing, vendor kiosks. Go up to them. You can rent for 48-hour period. You can rent a ship, and that's how long it'll stay in your hangar. And you can just go and request it once you get to ASOP. That's the one way to do it. The other way to do it is if you see it on display around the expo hall. Typically, there's a little info panel nearby, and you can use the F key to rent it from that panel as well. How many ships can be rented? You can rent as many as you like. However, you can only have one of each ship currently rented to your account. So if you want to have like, 3 Tauruses or something like that, you can't do that. You can only have one at a time, but you can re-rent it for another 40-hour period. That's about it. Hope this information was useful for y'all. Appreciate those taking time to like, subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions down below and things I might have missed. And again, thank y'all for checking the video. Catch y'all next time. Peace.